All right. Hi, everyone. This is Kim Coleman-Matson with the Colorado Broadband Office, welcoming you to our monthly Lunch and Learn. We do ask that you mute yourself, and I will mute everybody actually for the presentation. Bear with me just a second. So you'll need to unmute yourself if you need anything. We will ask for questions to be communicated via chat or at the end. If there's something I think really pertinent and you think it makes sense to insert it and ask Josh, feel free, but otherwise we'll generally hold questions until the end. And then I believe the notification for this Lunch and Learn included a link to notify us of your participation. If you could do that, that would be great, or you can just email oyt_broadband@state.co.us and let us know you were able to participate as well. We are recording this and we'll post it on our YouTube page, our Colorado Broadband Office YouTube page later on too. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Josh Lober. He's the president and CEO of ESChat, and he's going to talk about their public safety push-to-talk solution. So Josh, welcome, and please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, and also thanks to Ed, who I know is got crossed up with some other stuff, but I know he's around. And thanks for inviting me. I got to listen into one of the other Lunch and Learns, and I kind of like the idea of it. So my vision of all of you that are listening right now is that you're all enjoying a good meal, and hopefully I can share some interesting information about our product and what we do, and hopefully it's useful. And I look forward to questions. We'll do it verbally, as Kim said at the end. If you do have anything that you want to communicate, you can do it through text. So ESChat is short for Enterprise Secure Chat, and that's the name of our product. It's really the only product we do now. This is our 28th year in business. Our company is really called SLA Corporation, but everybody knows us as ESChat. It's a secure push-to-talk messaging and location system that we launched in 2008, initially with Verizon Wireless. So it's not a new entry to the market. Its focus is government and public safety and enterprise business. So just jumping in, while we started in 2008 with a kind of a 2G flip phone push-to-talk product on Verizon, over the years, as network technology has been enhanced and devices have gone from basic flip phones to Blackberries and then Android and iOS smartphones, we've incorporated the asks of our customers and our hopeful customers over the years to take advantage of those features and technologies. So when BlackBerry came out and came with FIPS 140 encryption on board, we were asked by some federal agencies to add encrypted voice to our push-to-talk, which we did. We deployed the Blackberries at a number of places with a number of customers. One was with CAL FIRE, California Department of Forestry, who was using Blackberries they used it for our push-to-talk, but also they were using BlackBerry Instant Messenger, which they said was very difficult to configure, but they really liked the idea of being able to do group texts. They came back and with an ask of us to say, look, we really like your user interface. Is there any way you can add messaging into the platform? Which we did. So that's how we got the multimedia messaging. And when I say multimedia, it's text and images. And then when iOS and Android came out, location capabilities and mapping became a sort of commonplace. So the addition of location tracking and mapping, both in a live mode and a historical or breadcrumb mode, were natural fits. So we put those into the product. Back in 2010, we had our first ask to integrate our cellular-based push-to-talk product with a traditional P25 LMR system. And there's actually some good gateway products on the market that allowed us to do a quick turn on that and allow for low cost, reliable, group-wise communication between the broadband users and the LMR users. But in the years since, we've also done advanced integration with P25 using the ISSI interface, which was developed to connect multiple P25 systems together. And AIS, which is very similar for DMR networks, which are more commonplace in utilities, but they're also, we're seeing them more in fire as well. ESChat's available for Android, iOS, and also on your Windows PC. Pricing wise, if you're running ESChat out of the cloud, which is how most people do it, you're looking at $4.57 per user per month. That's through the GSA contract, and that pricing is available whether you're a a federal or a state and local agency. Everybody can get that same pricing. One of the things that's a little bit different about ESChat versus a carrier offering is that it is agnostic to the carrier and it is cross-carrier capable. So we work with a lot of larger agencies that, for various reasons run on multiple carriers, and it's important that they be able to communicate with each other. So that's sort of a natural in our world, and we'll go into that a little bit more momentarily. So therefore, whether you're on Verizon or AT&T, T-Mobile or Sprint, or FirstNet, you can be operating on any or across all of these networks seamlessly. So what kind of people use ESChat? So it's used by all branches of the U.S. military, federal government, lots of agencies within the federal government, lots of state and local. It's interesting within public safety, and go specifically into law enforcement. I sort of see two buckets. I see the dispatch and command users versus the tactical and surveillance users. Most of our users are in the tactical and surveillance. I think we're still in a phase where rolling out LTE-based push-to-talk is somewhat of a novelty. Sure, it offers the ability to only have to carry one device, in particular when you're connected to your LMR network, but it's not used every day. And just in my experience in public safety, if it's not used every day, it eventually gets forgotten about. We do lots of school districts and universities and large municipalities. We do nationwide deployments for transportation, both medical and non-medical, with American Medical Response and AAA, lots of hotel chains. Starting in 2015 is actually when I met Ed and Kim. We got invited to participate in the 2015 Alpine World Ski Championships. We were brought in, there was a partner, General Dynamics, had put in a Band 14 system in Vail and Beaver Creek to provide wireless data coverage across the areas. And we were fortunate enough to get selected to provide push-to-talk service with a partner, Sonam, who made a Band 14 ruggedized phone. And we deployed ESChat to the public safety users, and we also did tie it in to one of the LMR networks. So that was pretty cool. And that was the beginning of what would become a series of FirstNet early builder events for us that included multiple Super Bowls, Rose Parades, state fairs in New Mexico, NC2A football games, large events across the country. Really as sort of the movement to push LTE-based push-to-talk into the public safety market was gaining steam. These events gave us an opportunity to work hand in hand with first responders to find out what was really important, what worked and what didn't. I remember one of the things that stuck out to me from Colorado in the follow-up conference. They found out that you can communicate and you could see in real time on ESChat where the people you're talking to are. So if you're on surveillance or you're communicating with the team, you'll see their location updated every 2 seconds. So real-time situational awareness. So it's a real neat thing to look down on, but the users were trained never to look down. They were trained for heads-up operation. So how do we make communications work similar to that of a radio, but on a device that's clearly not a radio, and on a network that's clearly not an LMR network? So we've done a lot of work over the years to add features to support that behavior, as well as Sonam has done with their handsets. We don't sell to the consumer market. Our products are sold for government, public safety, and enterprise business, and we are carrier agnostic. We do what we call over the top and what I call an advanced over the top model, which I'll get into. Most of our users use our service hosted, cloud-based. It's the most reliable option that we have, and it's the low-cost one that was $4.57 per month. In terms of service availability, we've had better than 5 nines of service availability for each of the last 6 years since we've moved to Amazon. But we do offer the option for our customers to host servers themselves. So there are some places where this is needed, certainly with some areas of the military where their LTE networks are private and they take them with them. The servers are private. And if you're just running a private LTE system for search and rescue, whether it's a backpack mounted system, the ESChat server can serve 100 users on a server that will fit in the palm of your hand. So they can be built into portable LTE systems, and you can take them wherever you need to go. In our limited time, we're not going to be able to go into too much depth, but one thing we've done with ESChat is we've created 9 group types. The traditional kind of Nextel cellular push-to-talk group doesn't work for every use case. It's great for some things, but because LTE networks work so different than LMR networks, and because you're sharing your network with commercial users, what we found the best way to approach meeting the mission of our customers was to tailor the groups and the product to meet different missions. So whether you're doing broadcast or you're doing dispatch or you're on surveillance, we have different group types that you can configure to meet those behaviors. Priority and preemption is supported, whether that's in call or out of call. And let me skip forward. So if we just take a sort of a look at the network, so you've got a server down here. We'll say that's cloud hosted. It could be customer hosted, but it's serving users that are across all the wireless networks or that are just on Wi-Fi. That's kind of the over-the-top model. This allows communication across carriers and what's called a best effort algorithm for the over-the-air, which basically means the cellular network is trying to treat everybody equal. It was built for phone calls and is trying to treat everybody equal, whether you're sitting below the cell site or you're at the very edge of the cell site. It has algorithms that decide who's going to get how much data in order to provide an equal experience for everybody. However, at any disaster or large event, as we've learned, the cellular networks become jammed and there's no way to communicate on push to talk or to receive video or do anything else really useful with a best effort algorithm. You go to a concert and everybody's live streaming what they're doing and it's taking all the bandwidth and it's not differentiated for the public safety users. Well, a couple of years ago, both AT&T and Verizon came out with offerings to add what they call quality of service or QoS differentiation. And those have rolled into now public safety offerings. So Verizon had a product they called private network traffic management, and now it's rolling into what they call mobile broadband priority, which is a public safety offering. It's at no charge to their customers. It's supposed to be completely rolled out by the end of this year. And of course, AT&T, which had their offering, which was called dynamic traffic management, has now rolled it into what they're calling FirstNet. And they're offering quality of service, priority, and preemption. Effectively, they're both offering the same thing. So what's really neat about this, and in particular, deploying service as we've done in this advanced over-the-top model, is that a customer, so Los Angeles County sheriffs and fire are a customer, and they run on both Verizon and AT&T and are taking advantage of mobile broadband priority and FirstNet. So here's a great situation where you've got a public safety customer who has enabled their network with enhanced QoS and is able to use products like ESChat across those networks. So they're not locked into a walled garden as they would be with a carrier product, but they can communicate across systems. And of course, they can communicate with everybody else in the other networks. It's just each user is going to be able to take advantage of whatever features they've signed up for or their network is offering them. So those enhancements, as we said, for Verizon and AT&T, with FirstNet, they call it QPP, quality of service, priority, and preemption. And we won't go into the weeds on that one, but FirstNet has an application catalog. It's not really a store, but rather a catalog, and they've set up a process to vet applications, and they have the top level is called FirstNet Certified. So if you're a FirstNet subscriber, you have access to this catalog, and you'll find FirstNet certified apps, including ESChat. And you can rate it. You can see reviews from other public safety users. You can create your reuse, and so on. So they're building this catalog, and Verizon is doing something similar. So they're migrating again from private network traffic management over to mobile broadband priority. So picking up where we left off, if you take that network, that carrier enhanced network, and you start to overlay the other things that you can do on it. So now what we do is we connect in with the LMR networks. So now you've got seamless communication between your radio network, regardless of technology, and your smartphone users. Again, different types of interoperability are available for different types of networks, some of which come with some pretty advanced features. So in the most common form, you can just do group calls from your radios to a group of phones. But on a P25 network, if your system is set up for private calling and you're connected by ISSI, then you can do a private call from a single radio to a single phone or vice versa. You also have individual unit IDs passed across the systems, so you can see exactly which user it is talking on the radio or talking on the phone. In fact, in that model with P25, every smartphone has a unique P25 unit ID. As far as the P25 system is concerned, these smartphones are radios, and they follow the rules of priority and preemption. You can overlay and use private networks, as we talked about, for search and rescue or other purposes. You can tie in console systems, whether those are from Avtech or Zetron or others, and recording systems from NICE and Eventide and Verint. And then eventually there's going to be some new technology coming out for what they're calling mission critical communication services. Eventually, when that becomes available, we will add that capability too. Taking a look at the app itself, from the user's perspective, this app is completely dynamic. So if you have an agency or a group of users that you want to use it, but you only want some of the features that are included in the product, everything in the app user interface can be changed. You can select what tabs are shown, what items are in the menus. You can pre-configure the menus, and you can remove the selection from the menus. So everything is totally customizable. Once the app has been installed or initiated on the phone, everything is done over the air through a management portal, which your administrators have the ability to control. This device here is the Sonim XP8. It's currently only available on AT&T, but in the first quarter of next year, it will be available on Verizon as well. This is the XP5S. There is an XP7 and an XP5 available currently on Verizon from Sonim. Some of the features of the phone is it's ultra rugged. It comes with a 3-year unconditional warranty. It comes with a dedicated push-to-talk button, a speaker that faces the user, and a battery that's sufficient to last multiple days. It also has some dedicated buttons. So for an emergency call, and we'll talk about that in a minute, a dedicated button, and accessories. These are the kinds of things that we got feedback during the FirstNet early builders, is that, hey, you plug a coil cord remote speaker mic into a phone and it's got a big spring on it, it's always pulling out. So let's incorporate, a more traditional connection for the accessories that you'd see on a radio. So those types of features. We also support tablets, iOS devices, including iPhones, iPads, and iPod touches, and Windows PC. So all of these devices can communicate with each other. They effectively do the same thing. They all do push to talk, they all do location, and they all do messaging. So ESChat operation. So as you're a user on the system, the first thing you'll see is a contacts tab, and the contacts are your individual users, or sort of friends list, some people call it, and they're each identified by the naming convention that your administrator sets up. It could be, here it's shown as last name dot first name, but it could be call sign or badge number or duty number, whatever you choose. And then there's also a color-coded icon. So for those that used Microsoft Link or Communicator, these color codes are pretty much the same. So green is available, red is on another call, red with a white bar through it's in do not disturb. And then we've added some others because there's some things that we do that don't exist in those other systems. Blue is a radio. So here's a couple P25 radios. You've got the friendly alias and you've got their P25 unit ID. You can select a single user on the screen and press push to talk. Of course, on the Sonom phones, you've got the push to talk button on the side, so you're not going to see it on screen. But if you're on, a Samsung, you're going to see it on screen. You can select a single user, press push to talk, and start a private call. Or you can select multiple users, where you can select Barry, Greg, and Bob, for example, press push to talk, and you'd have a four-way call with yourself and the three others. The second tab shows the groups. Groups are identified by either broadband-only groups, which look like this, or exported P25 or DMR groups, which look like this. And they have two states to them as well. It's important to know whether a call is in process or not. I mean, one of the common things that will happen is if you've got a large group, say it's 100 people, and somebody starts that call and you're in the middle of the call and you get called aside, you need to leave the call for a minute, and then you want to go back into the call. Well, if you don't know whether the call was still active or not, if the call had ended, you would actually be alerting 99 other people that you want to restart the call. Whereas if the call was still ongoing, you would just be the 100th person back into the call. So showing the presence of the group status is kind of important. The same way we selected one or multiple individuals from our contact list or a group from our group list, here in Android, if you long press, you'll get a secondary menu. And one of the options is to send a message. So here we're sending a message to Kevin Barley, and you can thumb type your message, or you can use speech to text translation. You can attach an existing image, or you can press the camera and take a picture. Of course, everything's going to be encrypted and sent to the phones. And in the next tab, in your messages, you're going to see a status of the messages that you've sent. Here have been sent to one and delivered to one and read by that person. And you'll get color codes whether your message has been delivered and or read by some or everybody. And then you'll see the incoming messages as well. Finally, you have a map tab. Now the map tab is not real time when you're not on a call, for balancing the need for real-time location information and your battery. On the bigger phones like the Sonoms, it's not a problem. For people that are running tablets in their vehicles, it's not a problem. But for most smartphones, it does become a problem. However, when you do go into a call in ESChat, data is sent continuously and is updated every 2 seconds. The pins on the map show the same color codes effectively that are on the contact list. And if you select a pin, you'll get the username of the person. And if you tap on that, you'll also get some other options. They could include navigate to that person, send a message to that person, Or with a single user selected, if you press push to talk, you'll call that person in a push to talk call. Now, if you don't have a single person selected and you're on this screen, you can use this screen like a geofence. You could zoom in and out. You can scroll, north, south, east, west, and you can create an ad hoc call just by pressing push to talk. So as long as nobody's selected on screen, if I press push to talk, it's going to call everybody on my screen. So if I zoom out to the country, it's going to call everybody in the country that's in my contact list. So here we did ad hoc calling by selecting users by name. Here we're doing ad hoc calling, selecting users by location. I don't care who they are, I only care where they are. There was a traffic accident, on this highway near that intersection. I can scroll and zoom till I've got the picture of some people inside of it, press the button, and I've got the closest people on a call. While you're in a call, you'll always see who's in the call with you. There's no promiscuous or hidden mode. So you'll see the call participants and the name of the group. Here it's P25 TAC Alpha, and the call is idle. When you're talking, the screen will say that you're transmitting. And when you're receiving, you'll see who's speaking. Depending on the priority and preemption rules that are set up in your system, you may see a floor taken indication, meaning that you don't have permission to take the floor away from this person. If you do, if you're a supervisor or somebody with a higher priority, you can actually step on and take over the conversation from the talking person. So the user interface will show you what your abilities are. The same behavior falls true if you're on the map screen. You're going to see the call participants on your map, and then talking. Then when you see somebody else talking, you're going to see their ID or their name, and the same indications as to whether you can take the floor or not. This is a shot of the web-based management portal, and just one of the screens. So here you can select under the integration function. You could select what features are enabled, and you can then select whether you want those features to be able to be displayed on the phone so a user can override them. This would be typically used if, for example, if you are going to use a particular model of Bluetooth headset with a push-to-talk button, you've got to go into our system and you've got to configure that, because all these accessories are a little bit different. We work with them, but the configurations are different. So rather than, if you're going to distribute 200 Klein Bluetooth push-to-talk remote speaker mics, rather than give them out to 200 people with instructions on how to configure ESChat and how to pair them with the device, your administrator, or with help from our customer support team, can go in and we can create a profile, set it up for the Klein remote speaker mic with Bluetooth push-to-talk, and push that to the phones. So they're all configured, and you could even remove those options from the phone so nobody can go in and play with it and accidentally change it. And then all they have to do is pair their device or plug it in if it's wired, and it will just work. Over here, we see all the tabs. So, you might have a group of people who you want them to report their location, but you don't want them to see location. Or they just don't want to use messaging, or they don't want to use whatever feature. They want to change their default screen. So here's where you would do it, and everything is everything is dynamic. So the user interface that the user sees is exactly what the administrator had set up, and that can be done by classes of people. It could be not everybody in the organization needs to see the same thing. You just set up different user classes. And then just a quick view of what the breadcrumbs look like. Here, different colors indicate different drivers. If you click on a cell, here's a click. So taken on July 5th, 2018, it's got the time, it's got the speed, the direction, and has the GPS accuracy. And depending on the view of the sky and the GPS at the time. So this one's accurate to within 10 meters. Usually, in an open area, they're accurate down to 2 or 3 meters. And then the portal will also show you all your statistics, how many calls are being made per day on a on a group call versus ad hoc basis. So with this customer, for example, it's clearly they're doing most of their work during the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and the pattern pretty much repeats itself. The gold line are group calls, where the blue one are ad hoc calls. And then these are some of the accessories. Whether you're working with, in a loud environment where you need an amplified speaker mic, or you're working undercover and you need a discrete neck loop with a push-to-talk button that looks like a key fob or fits in your pocket, there are accessories available for pretty well every mission. And then this is just a screenshot of what the Eventide recording system looks like. You can connect it into your existing recording system, and playback calls. You can create incidents, and assign those for further review. And ultimately the goal is a completely unified environment of console or CAD plus LMR plus broadband communications. And that's what you get. And the objective being that from the dispatcher's seat, it's transparent to them what the device or the technology they're talking to is. They have their process. They've been trained to do things a certain way, and it shouldn't be upon them to know that these units are carrying phones and those ones are carrying radios, and they work differently. It's all transparent. So this is an AMR dispatch seat. And there's some other stuff with third-party integration I'm not going to go into, but we do offer a free 30-day trial. And if you do want to activate a trial, we can do that for you. Alexandra Carter, or Allie Carter, that's kind of her role every day. Her phone number is down below. And also, if you do want to test out interfacing to your radio network, for public safety customers, we're happy to provide you a loaner gateway for a month, and you can try ESChat in a standalone mode or integrated with your radio network. So I guess with that, I'm going to pass it back to Kim and open it up for questions.
Thanks, Josh. And I went ahead and unmuted most people. I'd like to open it up to any questions. I have a question, Josh. Okay. Can you talk a little bit more about your roadmap? When we think about being carrier agnostic, which is great, but we still will have the challenge, especially as agencies adopt LTE-based push-to-talk, and then when we see the standards roll out, mission-critical push-to-talk, how you might roadmap to address interoperability across solutions like ESChat and others that'll be out there, so we don't have a situation where, if two agencies aren't both ESChat consumers, that they can't communicate via an LTE push-to-talk app.
Yeah, for sure. So, when MCPTT becomes kind of better understood, they're pushing the technology along at a fairly good pace. Products are being developed, and there are some milestones with FirstNet to get them into the market. The business cases are really not known, and that's one of the biggest problems that people like us are dealing with, is really understanding how we're going to fit and how we're going to be able to interface to those systems. But our whole model has always been to use standards-based interfaces to communicate with other systems. So ISSI and AIS, or SIPREC for recording, or CSSI. So in the mission-critical push-to-talk system, they have what's called a controlling server, and that server has an interface called MCPTD3, which then we connect to. And what we've done is we've committed that our ESChat client, once all this stuff is available and the business is understood, we're going to be providing a dual mode MC or mission critical ESChat client. There's a lot of customers that we have that are just going to stick with what we have, but they do run into situations for mutual aid where they need to roam into or talk to other people on other systems. So they'll have that capability. And the standards bodies are currently developing interfaces for MCPTT to non-MCPTT systems. So we'll follow those as well. So we definitely want to make sure that nobody's going to be in a jam where they can't communicate with other agencies.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions out there for Josh today?
Yeah, this is Nelson Martinez from Westminster PD.
Hi, Nelson, go ahead.
How does it handle the if a LMR system is encrypted with AES or DES encryption? How does that work?
Great question. So two answers. It depends on how you're connecting the system. If it's connected by ISSI, then the way the system works is we have what are called ISSI bearers that connect the P25 system to our system. And each of those bearers are sending the encrypted P25 traffic to our server. And then our server is connected to your P25 KMF, or it's been loaded manually with your encryption keys, depending on what you're doing. So there's a process that happens within our system where we decrypt, transcode, and re-encrypt the traffic between the broadband users and the narrowband users.
Okay, so it'll decrypt it, but you'll re-encrypt it before you send it out.
Correct.
Okay.
It's all decrypted, transcoded, and re-encrypted in a secured envelope or location, so it's never transmitted in the clear. If you're using the old-fashioned ROIP with a donor radio, you're actually plugging a radio into a gateway, and that radio is decrypting it. Here it's a little bit, there's a little more risk in it, in that you've got analog audio coming from the radio into the gateway, and then the gateway is usually connected over a VPN back to our server. So again, there's a decrypt, re-encrypt phase that happens. It happens in hardware over ROIP, where on ISSI it happens in software.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we currently have a ISSI in use right now. So.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for your answer.
Yeah, you bet.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Josh, for your time today. We really appreciate it, and we'll have this information with your permission. We'll talk with you after about posting it on our YouTube page. Again, a reminder to everybody who participated today, if you haven't already, if you could just notify us of your participation. And I believe, Ed Mills, I'll put you on the spot if you're still on the line. Our next Lunch and Learn is in November, is that correct? And it's Wilson Electronics, is that? Bear with me, folks, just a minute. I'm going to try and, I think, yeah, it's going to be Wilson Electronics on Wednesday, November 7th, and we'll be providing you more details on that in the coming week or two via newsletter. So thank you all for your time. Thanks again, Josh, and enjoy your day. Happy Halloween.
You bet. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.